This time, we're going to be continuing with designing the status screens. Last time, we finished designing the loading screen, which is very simple, minimal, but it gets the job done. Today, we're going to be continuing with the same idea of status screens, and we're going to be creating the error screen. Now, this video probably would be very short since we covered most of the stuff we need already in the last video. So let's just get into the error page or error screen and let's just design it. So I'm just going to duplicate this loading screen here. I'm just going to duplicate it. And most of the elements that we included in the loading screen should also apply to the error, right? So for example, we already set up the status bar for Android phones here up top. And that is something that will be consistent all throughout our design process, all of our screens and all of our pages. Um, Also, we should be renaming this to error. And let's position it properly, then let's just continue. So we have two elements here, and these two elements are the ones that are going to be changing. Let's start from the easiest one, and it's the text, right? So the text would be very simple. Just gonna call it error. Uh, or we can just say something went wrong, or we could say instead actually could not uh, retrieve or get channels. Channels here implying radio channels because this is a radio app. Uh, so yeah, okay, great. So after that, we want to change this illustration. And if you remember last time, if we go to assets and we have these two sad faces, and obviously we discussed on how we have to change them up a bit. So let's actually do that. First of all, let's start from the face here. And the face should be, since we're on a darker background, I would want them to be visible enough. But since this is an error screen, I don't want them to have high visual hierarchy. So what we can do, what the best method I know for this is to go to your background color. In this case, it is 111. And on Figma, the nice thing is by just selecting the hex value and going up or down on your keyboard, you can navigate different colors. So I'm going to be doing that, going up a bit here. Something like this maybe would work. Let's just go a little lighter. And now let's go over to the shadow. Here, 111 is the shadow. So we can go first to our base value here, which is 222 for the face. And the shadow is just a bit darker than that. So we're going to go down something like this, which is very nice. Then the facial details. I want to go full white because it's the most visible. Then I want to just decrease it a bit, going to some sort of gray color here. Okay. Great. So these are the final outputs from our illustrations, right? So obviously we are using different colors in this case. So what we want to do is we want to take them and apply some variables to them. First of all, this would be not included in the base variables. Instead, it will be included under illustrations. So this is a lighter gray, for example. So we're going to call it gray around 700, but it's going to be for illustrations. So we're going to do two hyphens, then illustration. Illustration. Or we can just say ILL, that's indicating illustrations. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna do the same thing for this one. I believe this is okay. Let's just return this here. Okay, so this is the shadow. So let's go apply gray around 200 or 300. Let's say 300. And it's going to be for illustrations. Now we don't need to include these illustrations in the branding here because it's not part of the brand. They are just simply colors we are using and creating our illustrations and assets and points of visual interest in general. So last one is this here. So we're gonna go give it gray 200 ILL. Okay, great. So we have our illustrations set up. Now what we want to do is we want to go apply components here. Side face egg, this one, meaning side face for with an egg shape, you can see. And this is more rounded, more circular. It's not a perfect circle, by the way. So maybe we can say it's a sphere, but no problem. Like we can just call it side face circle. Now we can just copy these two, go back to design page here, and we can just paste them in. Let's get them inside here and let's set them up. So the way I want this to be is, first of all, I want to make them a bit smaller. Then I want to take them, make them face each other in terms of their rotation by just rotating them just a bit here. Okay, so something we have to notice here is the shadows. So if we take this part here as the light source, okay, if we take this part here as the light source, it works. But I'm assuming what most people would. Okay, this is a bit cryptic and it's not really UI UX design, it's more graphics design. But it's generally, I think light sources are expected to be on the top left. So shadows are expected to be on the bottom right here because people see from left to right and there you don't want people to see the shadows first, but rather the main content. You don't really have to care too much about this. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go back to the assets here and I'm gonna select each of them and I'm gonna flip it horizontally. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. Right, so I'm just gonna go back now, and since these are components, okay, I draw. Okay, so for some reason it does not apply. Okay, I think it's because we have already changed the rotation. If we just go here, reset instance here, reset instance, or let's just copy them again here. I think that's the best way of doing it. Let's take this, go back to the design. Let's take them, reduce their size. Let's take this one and this one. Let's make them face each other. And we have to do some changes here to get them right, including flipping this horizontally and doing something like this. Great. So maybe now the light source is up top here and you can see the shadow is not the focal point of the illustration. That's not really something you have to worry about. Just know that when you are presenting an illustration, either in your web design or mobile design, you typically want the illustration to focus more on the detail than the shadow to be an afterthought. So you want to give the shadow a little bit less visual hierarchy. So in this case, we are doing that by making it at the back. So yeah, just something to think about. We're just gonna now be placing them correctly here in terms of each other. So now let's take these, get them a bit closer, and let's take them, right click, and you can group selection here, or the easiest way of doing it is selecting and Control G on your keyboard, Control G, and this will be the accent or illustration. So I'm just going to cut this here and go over here and just Control Shift R. And let's just fix some stuff here. Actually, let's do the same thing here. So I want to be centering it exactly. So now what we can do is, I think there is a bit more of space here for some reason, because obviously when you rotate your elements here, they have extra spaces. So I think the best way of doing it is to just maybe crop it out. Okay, how are we gonna do this? Let's take this and make it a frame selection. When you make a group of frame selection, you can easily just edit it without changing the inner element size and like proportions, right? So we can hold and drag this. You can go very deep to see the pixels here, and that's perfect. So having this now, we can actually just rename this illustrations. Let's actually go in here and ungroup it. Obviously we want to clip content, but it doesn't matter because it's not really outside of anything, and it doesn't need to be clipped, but if it gets outside, it will be clipped here. You can see. Okay, very nice. Now we have everything set up. We just need to center it, right? So center it, then make sure equal spacing all around. Something like this, yeah. Okay, so one thing remains actually. So one thing remains here, which is we need a button for it. Obviously, if this is an error page, we don't want to just say there's an error. We want to say there's an error. Would you like to try again? Right? So uh, in that case, for example, we want to just create a button here. And I'm just going to create a new page. I'm going to call this page components here. And let's create a button here in the design first. And this button will be called try again. Okay, so now we have the base font for it. And I want to add some extra visual hierarchy. So I'm just going to go and make the base font semi-bold. And I'm just going to create a new one here. I'm going to call this base SM for base semi-bold. Obviously, since I've done that, I want to go back to branding and I want to go down and I want to duplicate this. Obviously, put the top down here, base SM here, or base small. Actually, less large uplift here. Everything should be small. Base SM. This is 14 pixels, but the difference is it's being semi-bold. So now we can just apply it here. Great. Forget this here. Now, okay, we continue. Let's go back to the design and let's add some extra icons to make it more popping, right? So I'm want to go to my Figma files and I have this icon pack. It's called the XNIX icon pack. It's one of my favorite icon packs on Figma. And you can just search for it in the community. It's very popular and I really recommend it here. So for the whole project, we're going to be using icons from this icon pack. Now, I remember that there was an icon for refreshing. I don't remember where it was, but I do remember that there was one here. Okay. So we just want to go in and just take the icon here. We're just going to copy it, paste it here. Okay, so let's make it white for now. And Control Alt and O here to change it into a resizable vector. And this is going to be reset. And now, before we do anything here, I want to cut it, go to Assets, and create a new frame for this. And I'm going to call this frame illustrations, icons. And just add some auto layouts, prepare it 64 by 64. And let's position it correctly here. Wait, sorry, 2 pixels. And now we can let's go around 12 pixels here. And let's make it into a component. And I just want to copy it from here, go back to design, and just paste it here. So now we want to take these two, and this is going to be our danger button, right? So, or reset button maybe. Let's call it reset button. So reset, we don't need to say button, we can just say BTN. And let's go smaller GAC, 8 pixels, center alignments. And we want to go in here and we want to give it some additional padding on the sides. I'm going to go on the sides 24 pixels and 12 pixels top and bottom here. And I'm just going to go give it a fill. Now here, there are some elements to consider. Do we make the fill red to indicate an immediate action? Or do you want to make it a lighter gray of sorts to like not have too much of a visual hierarchy? So which route are we taking is the question. So obviously, if we are in this situation, the best thing the user can do to make the app work is to retry, right? So it's going to be red. So to maintain maximum visual hierarchy, I'm going to go with our brand color. Okay. So most of the time, for ears, you see red or some colors closer to red. And I am considering it here. And you can just, sometimes you can see how elements look by just changing the colors here. Around something like this, for example, it doesn't look bad. And if we could maybe go something like this or what? Some reason, okay, it says mixed for some unknown reason here. Let's just go. It says the black is the most visual hierarchy element, so white doesn't work here. So let's just select them and make them into a darker red here. Something like this. And I want this to have rounded edges. I want this to be like the style of the design. Also, something we forgot is we don't want to make this 12 pixels. I'm gonna go around 8 pixels here. And maybe this is thinner than I want here. Let's just copy it again. We would have to Control Shift R, paste and replace here. Let's make some adjustments. I'm gonna go 2 pixels on the weight, or maybe even 2.5. So like that might be too much actually. Yeah, let's go 2.25 or 2.125. Let's go back to 2. That's fine. So let's go to 2, and this is gonna be resets icon, Control Alt O. Then let's just take this, make it a component, copy it, go back to the design, Control Shift R. Now let's take this from 16, let's decrease it to around 12 here works actually. So now we can take this and we can apply the regular red color here. So something like this, yeah. Now we want this to be rounded, so I'm just going to go to the corner radius and we can apply a large number. What I would like to do is I want to go 999 for rounded corners. And we can actually just go here and set this as our full rounded, that means, right? So now we just created that, and this looks very nice. What we can do here is we can take this and cut it. Actually, is this visible? Yeah, it is. Okay, so obviously always check the contrast between the background and this element here. So let's just cut it, go to components, and let's call this BTNs. This frame will hold all of our buttons. So now let's go make this gray 100, paste it here. Obviously we want to make this a frame 3264 by 64. And we want to make this just hot content everywhere. Great, so now let's just take this, and we have two colors that we don't really have in our branding, so let's just do that. And these are our danger colors or red colors. You can call it whatever you want. To be specific, I'm going to say this is danger 500, and this is actually, it's not only for danger, it's also for many different purpose use cases. So I'm just gonna maybe change it up here. Let's go to variables. Let's go back to danger 500. Let's edit it. I'm gonna call it red 500. Here, red 500, and this is the darkest red we can get, so red 100. Great, so now we have to go back to branding, and let's go here. Let's take these two, get them down to give this more of a space. Okay, now from this, we can call this, let's apply rate 500, 100, duplicate it, rate 100. Now let's take these two and put them side by side. Obviously, we said that the darkest should be at the start. So yeah, this will be our red colors. Now let's just put everything back where it belongs. Here around 32. So you can see how our branding guide is growing, both in terms of the font, the typography, and in terms of the colors. Great, so let's just continue here. Going back to components, I want to select this and I want to make it a frame, a component, right? So after this, let's just copy it, go back to design, and I want to paste it here. Now let's take this here, and instead of main, I'm going to name this content, and I'm going to take this Now I'm gonna group this into main. Let's get it down. Now you want to have spacing in terms of from the highest to the lowest connectivity, right? So for example, these two are 24 pixels apart, these two elements, right? That's because they are more connected to each other than this is connected with this. So we want more space between elements that are less connected, in purpose, in information, and in visual style. So let's go 32 actually, from 24, 32. So I always have this rule of using multiples of uh 4 and 6, right? No, I think it's called the multiples of 8 rule. But there are some numbers that sneak in. So there are most of the time multiples of 4, 6, and 8. So for example, here we have 24 pixel gap, which is multiples of both 6, 4, and 8. Here we have 32 pixel gap, which is, I think, again, multiples of 8 and 4. I don't think it is multiples of 6. It's not, actually, it's not. So it is multiples of 4 and 8. So, like, it has to fit within that sphere. Uh, Most of the time, you can do with just multiples of 6. But in this case, we're just adding some multiples of 4 as well. So hopefully that's clear. And we have our final design here. Let's just center it and make sure to have enough space on the top and bottom here, making everything consistent. Think this is perfect. Okay. So this will be our loading page and error page. Hopefully most of the stuff we covered here is very clear. Obviously, so far we haven't done too much. It's very, what you would call, it's a very small progress when you look at it. But yeah, but we have covered so many stuff here. And if you have any questions, please, again, as I always say, feel free to drop them down below in the comments. I know some stuff might not be the clearest thing, so I would love to take your questions for the next video. Yeah, that's all for today. And next time we should be starting to design the actual app UI, more of the technical part. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, thanks for watching. Till next time. Goodbye.